when the movie had ended, you could actually hear people sobbing all throughout the movie theater. It was that powerful. So the movie I wanted to share with you today is The Whale. So heads up, as always, there's going to be spoilers. So now that you know, let's continue. So in this movie, The Whale, we see Brendan Fraser. It's great to see him back in action, but it's different because I'm used to seeing him in The Mummy. I'm used to seeing him in Encino Man. What else? Come on, give me something. Bedazzled. And he also played George of the Jungle. So I'm bringing this up because for people like me, my age, we remember Brendan Fraser, from the 90s, early 2000s, and he was this adventure comedian, great looking guy. But in this film, it's the total opposite. The character starts off in his apartment, and he's obese. He's obese. He almost dies in the first scene. And like I said, spoilers. So anyway, so like in the first scene, he's already struggling to live. He's in a bad state, and already from the get-go, there is a character who walks in, who actually knocks on the door and comes in. It's a missionary, and as Brendan Fraser's character is, going through his heart problem or whatever problem it was, he asked the missionary, Brendan Fraser asked the missionary, please just read this essay. And as he reads the essay, it's something about Moby Dick. And this got me thinking of another movie. And the movie it got me thinking of was actually the 2004 film The Machinist with Christian Bale, because in this film, The Machinist, it starts off where he's already extremely thin and he's going through sleep deprivation, he's going through insanity, and already we see throughout the film, you see hints of a certain author, and you'll see he's reading at one point, I think he's reading the Brothers Karamazov. At another point, when he's in Coney Island and he's in the theme park, you'll see it says Crime and Punishment, and then The Epileptic Boy is another reference to the novel The Idiot, written by Fyodor Dostoevsky. And I read Crime and Punishment quite a while ago, but so I guess this also is a spoiler alert for those of you who haven't read any of Dostoevsky's books. But in Crime and Punishment, it actually starts off with the main character planning out how he's going to do a crime. He does the crime, he does the act, he commits it, but then afterwards, the reader, as you read it, you'll see how he descends into insanity. Now, with the film, The Machinist, you see him already thin. You see him already in insanity, but you don't know what it is that he has committed, what it is that he has done to cause this effect. So going back to The Whale, so I'm watching The Whale, but as I'm watching it, I'm kind of thinking of Crime and Punishment, because of the movie, the similarities with The Machinist. But the only thing is that in this film, he is thin. He's not thin. He's obese. But what I'm trying to get to is that in The Whale and The Machinist, we already see the effects. We see in The Machinist, he is extremely thin. Anorexic or bulimic, I'm not sure the exact term. But in The Whale, we see him extremely obese, morbidly obese. And the question that I have throughout this film is why? And I'm also wondering, why is the book Moby Dick being referenced? And then later on, maybe towards the middle of the film, Leaves of Grass. Oh my gosh, I hope I'm getting this right. By Walt Whitman. I'm sorry, I need to I need to go back to literature class. I might be butchering it. But so as I'm watching the film, going back to The Whale, and we have two book references. First one is Moby Dick and Leaves of Grass by Walt Whitman. These are books that I haven't read yet, so now I'm very interested in seeing if what impact these books have in the movie. Because if you watch The Machinist, it is very obvious that Dostoevsky has a strong impact on the character build up in that film. And earlier I mentioned about a missionary. That's another story, but an interesting thing about that, which totally vibes with me, is that I used to be a former religious, and for those of you who don't know my story, I was in this religious group. I loved it. I enjoyed it. However, I got to see the development of how this group became culty, or at least half of the group wanted to be culty and toxic, and in my opinion, from what I saw, from what I witnessed, money hungry, and didn't really care about the people. That really resonated with me because this character, Thomas, and it's funny that his name is Thomas because when I think of Thomas, I always think of Doubting Thomas. So the character, the interesting thing about Thomas is that he believes, but he's not totally in the group, and that's, oh man, that hits me hard because there's a term that I've come across since studying cults, especially communicating with ex Jehovah's Witnesses, and that is physically out, mentally in. So although this character Thomas, he's no longer really with the group, but mentally he's still there, and he's trying to do all of these religious things. And then even the girl, just watch the movie. There's a girl in the movie who says, like, dude, that's an end times cult, or that's an apocalyptic cult, something like that. So that really resonated with me, and for other cult survivors, that will probably most likely resonate with you as well. And the last point that I wanted to bring up was shame and shunning, because in the beginning of this film, we already see Brendan Fraser's character obese, morbidly obese, but we don't understand why. And as you see his character, as you see him develop in that 1 week of time, because the film is like 1 week or 5 days, you really get to have a better understanding of why is he like this. And as the story goes, he had a lover, and this lover was part of that religious group, or as the girl mentioned in the film, a cult. And what do cults do? Once you don't do everything perfectly as they say, they shame the hell out of you. They shun you. Get away from me. You're terrible. And then when a person leaves, so many times there's all of this guilt. And it actually happened to the lover of Brendan Fraser's character. It happened to him first. And that character went through so much guilt, so much shame. And that's what sucks. Religion is supposed to be a place of love, or compassion, or understanding, or kindness. Maybe we, not going to agree on all things, but why does kindness have to be thrown out? Why does compassion have to be thrown out? And so Brendan Fraser, after he loses his lover, he's going through all of these interior problems or struggles and loneliness and guilt. but in the ending was just an amazing ending. It was a great story how they show the development of his relationship with his students, with his ex-wife, with his daughter, and at the end of the movie, I was about to just leave, but I just stopped and I can listen. I could hear people sobbing throughout the theater. So when everyone is just stuck in their seats when the credits are rolling and they're crying, or you can see them talking to each other about the film. That shows that it's a for me it shows it's a powerful ending. But not only that, I think it was a powerful movie, and I strongly recommend it. But yeah, so I strongly recommend you watch this film. I give it a big thumbs up. And that's it for today. If you have any movie suggestions that I should watch that are culty or abusive, I like watching these things because it helps me reflect on my own situation. So if you have any movies that I should watch, let me know in the comments below, and feel free to follow me. I'm a host of a podcast, The Truth That Heals, and I talk about my own experience being in a cult, and I talk to other people who have left either cults or toxic relationships or whatever. And the point of this podcast is to just get a perspective of healing and of positivity. So feel free to follow me, and thank you so much for watching this. Have a good day.